In a world filled with constant distractions and overwhelming pressures, finding a sense of freedom and clarity can seem like an impossible task. We are constantly bombarded with external influences, opinions, judgments, and societal expectations that pull us in all directions. We live in a world that often values external achievements more than inner peace, external validation over personal authenticity, and material success above spiritual well-being. The noise of the world, whether from the media, social circles, or our own internal anxieties, can cloud our ability to see clearly, think deeply, and act in ways that align with our highest values. In the midst of this chaos, many seek freedom. The freedom to be who they truly are, to make their own choices, and to live a life of purpose and integrity. But true freedom is not found in the accumulation of wealth, power, or accolades. It is found in the liberation of the mind, the clarity of thought, and the ability to navigate life with wisdom and understanding. True freedom comes from knowledge, the knowledge of ourselves, of the world around us, and of the deeper truths that govern our existence. This is the essence of philosophy espoused by Socrates, one of the most influential figures in Western thought. Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher, was not just a teacher. He was a seeker of truth. His life and his teachings were focused on one central principle. The pursuit of knowledge is the key to true freedom. Socrates believed that only by understanding ourselves, questioning our beliefs, and seeking truth could we truly free ourselves from the chains of ignorance, prejudice, and fear that bind us. His life's work was a constant search for wisdom, a wisdom that would ultimately lead to the freedom of the mind and spirit. Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This simple yet profound statement encapsulates the core of his philosophy. It tells us that without self-examination, without questioning the assumptions that shape our lives, we are not truly free. We are slaves to our own ignorance, unable to see the world clearly, to make wise decisions, or to live authentically. In many ways, Socrates' call for self-examination and knowledge was revolutionary. In ancient Athens, where he lived, people were often more concerned with external success, wealth, and status than with inner growth or understanding. They valued appearance over substance and followed the popular beliefs of the time without questioning their validity. But Socrates stood apart from this. He did not value wealth or power, nor did he care for fame or status. What mattered to him was the pursuit of truth, the truth about the world, about human nature, and about what it means to live a good life. For Socrates, true freedom came from the ability to see things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. He believed that by understanding the nature of the world and our place within it, we could liberate ourselves from the constraints of ignorance, prejudice, and fear that hold us back. Socrates' method for achieving this kind of understanding was his now famous Socratic method, a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue that he used to expose contradictions in people's beliefs and to encourage critical thinking. Rather than simply imparting knowledge to his students, Socrates engaged them in deep, probing questions that forced them to examine their assumptions and beliefs. He believed that through this process of questioning and dialogue, individuals could arrive at deeper truths and gain a clearer understanding of themselves and the world around them. Socrates believed that we often live our lives based on false assumptions and misconceptions, many of which we inherit from society or pass down through generations. These assumptions shape our thoughts, behaviors, and decisions, but they are often based on ignorance or a limited understanding of the world. In order to gain true freedom, Socrates believed we must question these assumptions and strip away the layers of false beliefs that cloud our judgment. He urged his followers to embrace uncertainty, to acknowledge that they did not have all the answers, and to seek knowledge with humility. This intellectual humility is a key component of Socratic thought. It is a recognition that we do not know everything, that there is always more to learn, and that through questioning we can uncover deeper truths. Socrates understood that the pursuit of knowledge is not always easy. It requires discomfort, vulnerability, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. It requires us to face our own limitations and confront the contradictions in our own thinking. It also requires us to embrace uncertainty and the unknown. But it is through this process of self-examination and critical thinking that we gain the clarity needed to make wise decisions, live authentically, and experience true freedom. This idea of knowledge as a path to freedom is not just intellectual. It is deeply moral and ethical. For Socrates, The pursuit of knowledge was intertwined with the pursuit of virtue. He believed that true knowledge was knowledge of the good, and that once we understood what is truly good, we would naturally act in ways that are just and virtuous. This is where Socrates' teachings differ from many modern philosophies that separate knowledge from morality. For Socrates, knowledge was not just about accumulating facts. It was about understanding what it means to live a good and virtuous life. He believed that if we know what is right, we will naturally do what is right. But in order to know what is right, we must engage in deep self-examination and reflection. This emphasis on virtue and moral knowledge is why Socrates was so concerned with the state of people's souls. He did not simply ask his followers to memorize facts or theories. He asked them to examine their beliefs, their behaviors, and their motives. He encouraged them to live a life that was guided by reason, virtue, and moral clarity. The more we learn about ourselves and the world around us, the more we align ourselves with the truth, and the more we can act in accordance with our highest moral principles. This kind of knowledge leads to freedom, not the freedom to act recklessly or selfishly, but the freedom to act in ways that are just wise and align with our true nature. The freedom that Socrates speaks of is not just about autonomy or personal choice. It is about the ability to live in harmony with the truth. It is about the freedom to live a life of integrity, to make decisions that reflect our values, and to act in ways that contribute to the greater good. When we understand the truth of ourselves and the world around us, we are no longer bound by fear, ignorance, or the pressures of society. We are free to live authentically, to pursue our true calling, and to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. One of the key elements of Socratic thought is the idea that true knowledge is knowledge of the self. Socrates famously said, "Know thyself." This was not just a call to self-awareness or introspection. It was a call to understand the deepest aspects of who we are, our desires, our fears, our motivations, and our weaknesses. Only by understanding ourselves can we truly understand the world around us. And only by understanding the world can we live in a way that is truly free. In our modern world, this call to self-knowledge is more important than ever. We are constantly bombarded by messages from the media, our social circles, and society at large about who we should be, what we should want, and how we should live. These external pressures can cause us to lose sight of our true selves, to live according to the expectations of others, and to make decisions that are not aligned with our deepest values. Socrates' wisdom teaches us that in order to live a life of freedom and authenticity, we must learn to listen to our inner voice, to question the assumptions that have been imposed on us, and to seek knowledge that helps us understand who we truly are. This process of self-examination and self-awareness is not always easy, and it requires us to confront uncomfortable truths. It requires us to challenge our assumptions, to question beliefs we have held for years, and to be open to the possibility that we may not have all the answers. But it is through this process of self-discovery and growth that we gain true freedom. We become free from the shackles of ignorance, from the influence of others, and from the limitations of our own minds. We are free to live in alignment with our deepest truths, to make choices that reflect our highest values, and create a life that is authentic, purposeful, and meaningful. True freedom, according to Socrates, is not the freedom to do whatever we want. It is the freedom to live in accordance with the truth. It is the freedom to think clearly, to act with integrity, and to make decisions that are guided by wisdom and virtue. It is the freedom to be the best version of ourselves, to rise above the limitations of ignorance, and to contribute to the greater good of the world. This kind of freedom is not given to us by external circumstances. It is something we create within ourselves through the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. In a world that often seems to prioritize external success and achievement, Socrates reminds us that the true measure of freedom lies in the clarity of our minds, the integrity of our actions, and the wisdom that guides our decisions. It is not the external achievements that define us, but the way we think, live, and contribute to the world. Socrates' philosophy calls us to a life of self-examination, critical thinking, and moral reflection. By embracing these practices, we free ourselves from the constraints of ignorance and fear, and we open ourselves to the true freedom of living a life of purpose, wisdom, and authenticity. So, let us take Socrates' teachings to heart. Let us commit ourselves to the pursuit of knowledge, not just knowledge of the world, but knowledge of ourselves. Let us engage in the process of self-examination, questioning our beliefs, understanding our motivations, and striving to live in accordance with our highest values. Through this pursuit of wisdom, we will find the true freedom that Socrates envisioned, a freedom that comes from within, from the clarity of thought, the integrity of action, and the alignment of our lives with truth and virtue. True freedom is not about escaping the world. It is about mastering ourselves, living with wisdom, and contributing to the world in ways that reflect our highest selves. Let us live in this freedom, and in doing so, we will unlock the fullest potential of who we are meant to be.